Welcome on into another off season, still postseason, but it's our off season.
It's our off season.
Yeah, our off season episode of Dbacks Dispatch here with two of your three hosts. Our the co-host Gabe is currently on a nice little vacation, enjoying some time off, not watching what is about to be probably one of the most insufferable World Series matchups that we're going to deal with fan base wise for the Yankees and Dodgers. But anyways, Gabe, enjoy your vacation. We are here chilling, moving, and we are going to be talking about some Diamondbacks, some news, at least Diamondbacks related, that we got this last week. With the Gold Glove finalists all being announced, the Diamondbacks ended up having 5. They had one, obviously, Gabriel Moreno, a catcher, first base, Christian Walker, second base, Ketel Marte, left field, Lourdes Gurriel Jr., and then right field, a little shocking, surprising to me, was Jake McCarthy. So we'll kind of go down and, break down, kind of each position, the 3 finalists, kind of their ranking on and their possibility of actually, earning that Gold Glove nominee or that Gold Glove award. But again, if this is, guys, your first time here in the YouTube show, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe as well. It helps as well. And then Hans Walker, Jordan Lawler is moving me. Hey, we are going to be talking about Jordan Lawler as well. Don't you worry. But that'll be a little bit after we do the Gold Glove. So I guess we can kind of, just dive into it really quick. Like I said, the first one would be a catcher. I always like to just start, going in positional order. No pitchers nominated, so it would be catchers. Like I said, Gabriel Moreno. He is up there against Patrick Bailey of the San Francisco Giants and Will Smith of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Gabriel, a little surprising to me because just going off of Fangraphs, Gabby doesn't actually qualify. He didn't have enough time because of, obviously he missed time with multiple injuries.
Why? I was so surprised he got the nomination.
Yeah, I think it just might be one of those where they kept him because he won it last year is my best guess. And because, he still had some good stats, like when I was going through and kind of, getting some of the stats that we'll talk about, like, for catchers, it's a little bit different because outs above average, they don't really have that for catchers because it's, obviously they're ranked differently. So the main one for them would be, like defensive run saves, and then also the like framing and throwing runs above average. So Gabby was top 2 in defensive runs saved, and then fielding, I think it's what did I put for FRV? Oh yeah, fielding run value. So Gabby is still top 2. He's behind Patrick Bailey because Patrick Bailey is insane. So I think that alone, being top in 2 of the defensive categories, is probably why they put him there, even though he's not technically qualified. And when I was going through and, kind of we'll kind of see the trend as we go, I'm assuming that's how they go about who they put in these nominees and nominations, just because it seems like you have to be at least top 3 in one of these, some of these 3 categories. Yeah. But like I said, Gabriel Moreno, Patrick Bailey, and Will Smith. Brandon, looking at some of the stats on the doc, what stands out to you the most from, those 3? And then if you had like a, quick ranking of like, in order of 1, 2, 3, who do you think is going to be the one that ultimately walks away with the catcher Gold Glove award?
I'm surprised out of how much time Gabby missed. He's still second in defensive runs saved as a catcher. If like he played like 160 less innings than Patrick Bailey. So what is that, like 13, 14 games? Just shows how good Gabby is, y'all. And like we saw it again this year when he was out, the pitching was just not the same. And then you look at Will Smith, he's at -4 defensive runs. I've always said that Will Smith is not a great defensive catcher. And I think this year and I think it's going to be like this every year. It's Gabby and Bailey, 6 feet under, and then everybody else, because that's what it really, really like. There's just not a lot of good defensive catchers anymore.
Yes, just looking even at Will Smith, like I think his caught stealing and stolen base like is definitely improved. Like he's not the known guy for throwing runners out. He's always been known as a guy you can run on, but his other advanced metrics like the framing, throwing, and just defensive run, he's like you said, the 6 feet under is not even a joke. Like there's not many defensive catchers that are really good, and I think a lot of it was because Real Muto missed some time too.
Yes, I believe he was out for 6 weeks as well. I'm biased because we all love Gabby. I was surprised that he was a finalist. I really was, because of how much time he missed, and like you said, Fangraph's pointing out he doesn't qualify, which, seeing some of the other positions and who's a finalist, to me, they don't. A lot of the whoever's in charge of the list, they don't look at the actual stats. It's name recognition. The fact that Francisco Lindor didn't make it for shortstop and Juan Soto made it again blows my mind. All right, we've all seen some of the clips. Like, he's made some atrocious plays in the outfield, but he is a Gold Glove finalist again. I believe he was a finalist. It was last year
too for the Padres.
Like, blows my mind. Patrick Bailey has to win it this year, though. Like, what he did is just, like, I was surprised he didn't get it last year. Like, I thought it was Patrick Bailey's last year.
Yeah.
But if he does it this year, if I'm a Giants fan, I'm going to riot. Like, I'm going to straight lose it. Like, first in defensive runs saved, like, throws out.
And first by a far margin. Like, if Gabby's second at 10 and he's at 20, like, that's no joke.
Even if Gabby, his innings are around the same, like, to me, like, he might get like 2 or 3 more defensive runs saved, but yeah, Patrick Bailey is still way ahead of him there. Like, and we spoke about it last year. Like, Patrick Bailey's framing ability might be the best in baseball.
Yeah, and it's one of those where, the robo umpire might take that away a little bit, so maybe some of his defensive value kind of goes down, eventually. Bubba, welcome in. Always a pleasure to see you. But I wouldn't be surprised if the full, imagine the next 5 years when they finally do it, the implementation of the automatic ball strike zone would possibly take a little bit away, but it's still kind of crazy just how good he is at framing. Because I know we made our jokes last year when we were advocating for Gabby to win. It's like, oh, well, it's just lying to the umpire. I still think that, but sometimes, like, that's game is game. Like, if that's what the game is, he's good at it. Yep. Like, that's a skill that he's honed, and he's clearly shown out this year. So I definitely agree, and I think the second part of the question that you also I think answered, or at least I don't know if you did. Do you think Patrick Bailey, Gabby Moreno race for Gold Glove in the next 5-10 years, if they both obviously stay with their current teams? Do you think it's going to be one to watch, or is it going to be, like I said, with the automatic ball strike zone coming in? Do you think there's a potential to where the numbers might not look as appealing down the road?
Until we get that automatic ball strike system, I think these two will be a finalist every year. It's going to go back and forth. It's going to be really great to watch because they're in the same division, so they're going to be they will be linked constantly as the best defensive catchers in all of Major League Baseball. Like, I think Gabby's ability to control the run game is better than Patrick Bailey's. Same. I think Gabby is better at that, but Patrick Bailey's framing ability, though, is better than Gabby's. So, like, it's going to go back and forth. I think, I truly feel we could see a period of 5-6 years where it's either Gabby or Patrick Bailey winning the NL Gold Glove for catcher. Like, unless there's someone else that comes up like a rookie, I don't see anyone being it. Like, again, it changes year to year. There could be some guy that was in the minors last year or in AA that makes a leap. That's entirely possible. But I think this year,
Real Muto coming back could even, bounce back to form like he was in the Marlins and when he joined the Phillies.
My only issue with that is Gabby and Bailey have him on age. Like
Fair.
Real Muto's getting up there, so I don't know if he's the best overall catcher anymore. Based on this season, the best catcher, in my opinion, overall was William Contreras.
Yeah,
I
so he was
still
he was
think
kind of
his defense isn't as good, but his offense, ooh,
yeah,
man can
but
light it up.
but thankfully that's where we have the awards like the Gold Glove, where it's like, hey, sometimes you don't need to have that bat. Which Bailey is still a good hitter in his own right. He's had
Yep.
some clutch hits against the D-backs himself. But yeah, I think we're both in agreement here, and even probably everybody in the chat. Like we love Gabby. Maybe if he definitely didn't miss that time with the groin injury, and the previous injury at the beginning of the year. I think he's still at least neck and neck with him, but just it's got to be Patrick Bailey hands down. He's first in basically every category. But somebody that is hopefully going to be a runaway candidate that we can be happy about is the first base Gold Glove category. It's, as we all know, Christian Walker played just over 1,000 innings, actually over 1,100 innings. He had 13 outs above average, which was first in the NL among all first basemen, 7 defensive runs saved, which was second to only Matt Olson, who he is also against in the running for first base Gold Glove. And then he had 10 fielding run value, which was also, again, first in the NL. Matt Olson, like I said, was also in there. He had 300 more innings than Walker, which is, again, crazy to think because Walker missed some time. Matt Olson
Yeah.
has 4 outs above my window's open because it is a beautiful day in Arizona and I'm going to enjoy it. So I apologize if there's any background noise. Matt Olson has 4 outs above average, which was third. Especially the nice thing is all 3 of these first basemen are pretty much 1, 2, 3 in all these categories.
Yep.
So Matt Olson is third. He has 14 defensive run saves, like I said, so he leads the NL in that. And then fielding run value with 3. He's sitting at third behind Harper, who has, again, decent season from him. I'm not going to lie. I know it was a newer position to him, but he adjusted really well. He had 7 outs above average at first base, 5 defensive run saves, and then 5 fielding run value. So pretty good field overall, but I think, maybe we're being a little bit biased. My question is this even a debate, or is Walker going to basically cruise to his 3rd straight Gold Glove, which I think we all know that we're going to say yes, but got to try to take as much bias out of it as possible. I'm curious what your answer would be.
When you posted these stats, the amount of innings difference between Walker and then Olson and Harper is insane. So Olson has 300 more innings at first base. Yes, he has double defensive runs saved. Olson with 14, Walker with 7. But then Walker has 13 outs above average compared to Matt Olson's 4. So 300 more innings.
He's
Yeah,
more than
Walker,
both of them combined.
yes, it's great. Like, I know certain awards should not be given based solely on a stat, but the fact that Walker is
you have the clip, I think. There's a Walker play that, to me, that play alone is this, along with that sole stat. Like, not many other first basemen are going to have the IQ.
that is so hard. Like, it looks easy. Someone made a comment thinking that that's like the easiest play that's getting overhyped. Do you know how difficult that is? Like, that's very hard with concentration. Like, to me, that's why this play looks so insane. Yes, it's an easy dribbler that Walker probably could have just got easily put his foot on the bag. But also, Pete Crow Armstrong is one of the fastest players in Major League Baseball. So he's very fast. So that was something that you had to keep in mind. We have another clip from late in the season against Jake Cronenworth that the concentration for Walker to make this play, like, it bounces off the bag. And we all know if a ball hits the bag, it can go rope. You have no idea where it's going to go. And Walker's concentration on that. So
did it in the World Series, did it again in this season.
Like, we are biased. Like, we are completely biased because we see it every day. Christian Walker makes these plays, and like, he makes it look easy, and we were spoiled by it because we saw how, like, Kevin Newman, Pavin Smith, and Josh Bell were when Walker was out for like 4 to 6 weeks. Like, they were okay, but I really felt like there were a few plays that if Walker's there, he makes them. I just don't see any reason why. Like the only reason I can't see Olsen taking it or even Harper. Like they're both really good first basemen. I'm not disputing that. Like I think all three of these guys are the top 3 first basemen in the National League.
Freddie Freeman as well. He's in there. Like I'm not going to discredit him as well. He definitely is up there too.
Yeah,
I would put him probably ahead, just to add in first baseman, just because of
Bryce.
how long they played there. Yeah, I'd say it's Walker, Olsen, and Freeman with Bryce right behind there. And again, that's no discredit to Harper. He's still an amazing athlete. He's still younger than Walker and all that. Again, it's Harper plays first base at the same way he's playing for the next 2-3 years. I would say easily he's definitely top 3 with Olsen and Freeman. But again, we're just talking about the present, and at the present, I fully agree with you. It should be no debate at all. Christian Walker should walk away with this.
13 outs above average in 1,100.
And I'm pretty sure he had 10 or 11
insane.
Before he was obviously injured and missed a month.
Yeah,
he could have been like Patrick Bailey and had 15 or upwards of 15.
Yeah, if Walker doesn't miss time, this is his easily, and I still think it is. He has, since he became the first baseman for the Arizona Diamondbacks after we lost Goldie, he improved his defense night and day. It is it feels like anything hit in that area, good luck.
You get by him, that you got that. You deserve that hit if you got by Chris Walker.
The only plays that I get worried about is those ones where he has to throw to second, because sometimes he gets a weird angle, and they are hard throws to make. So
you saw Freddie Freeman made a perfect throw, and just because Manny Machado made a smart play, that play in the playoffs where it bounced off his helmet, that was a perfect throw and just a perfect play from it was 2 first basemen doing exactly what they needed to. Just sometimes one negates the other.
It's Manny Machado knowing the rules of baseball.
Exactly, and that's where it sucks.
He
some
knew
people will probably be like, "Oh, why didn't you make a better throw, Freddie?" If he didn't move at that time, that would have been literally right to the glove, exactly where he needed. So, so I think it's going to be a runaway for Christian Walker.
First of many things for Christian Walker this offseason. I just hope that we'll have a stream where we get to celebrate and be happy that he is going to be our starting first baseman next year. But to be honest, I'm keeping my expectation low on that. So that way I'm not too I've accepted that he's not coming. Someone's going to offer him, New York Yankees, 25 to 27 a year.
Hey,
and I'm
maybe the Mets if Pete Alonso leaves.
Do we want to go for Pete Alonso? Even though we all hate him?
That's not at all what I was going for. No, don't even bring that up. I am moving on. We are getting back into that Gold Glove. Pete Alonso, no, don't even want to think about it. But the other Diamondback, now the third that was up, a third of the 5 in the Gold Glove finalists, was Ketel Marte at second base, who once again another guy that kind of missed a little bit of time. He played 929 innings at second base. He had 8 outs above average, 10 defensive runs saved, and then 6 fielding run value, which is all second among second basemen in the NL. Bryson Stott for the Phillies had just over 1,100 innings played at second base, 2 outs above average, which was 5th among second basemen, 7 defensive runs saved, which was 3rd, and then he had 1 fielding run value, which was tied for 4th with a bunch of guys. And then Bryce Terang, who had a really good year for the Brewers, not going to lie. Solid sophomore season, 1,200 innings, just under 13. He had 6 outs above average, which was 3rd among NL second basemen. 21 defensive runs saved, which is crazy. That's again 11 more than Ketel. That's three times the amount that Bryson Stott had, and then he is 4th with fielding run value, and he is tied. He has 4 fielding run values, and he's tied for 3rd. So it's going to be a little bit of a tough thing. Obviously, like I said, Ketel did miss some time. Screw you, Stubbs. I don't even want to remember
Garrett
your name.
Stubbs.
Not important. Yeah, but is Ketel still the favorite just because he is obviously second in most of in those 3 categories, or with the combination of Terang being insane with the defensive run saved and his missed time, do you think it's hurt his case a little bit too much for him to actually take home the Gold Glove this year?
Yeah, I don't think Ketel gets it, which really sucks because I think he was on a path where I felt MVP was right there. Gold Glove was like he's gonna get the Silver Slugger. Like there's no doubt in my mind he's the NL second baseman Silver Slugger winner.
Yeah.
But what Bryce Terang did, like y'all, some of the plays that he made, and to be honest, if Cattell was faster, like there's a lot of plays that I think Cattell could make if he was faster. But Bryce Terang,
He also had a
like,
few rough errors in the end of the season that I think did
he
definitely
did.
kind of hurt his case.
One of them probably cost us a playoff spot, by the way.
Yeah. One of like 30 things that did in the final week, if we're being completely honest. If we want to nitpick and go down it, but we're not going to be depressed.
2 weeks?
We're not going to be depressed this stream. We're talking about happy things, Brandon.
Happy things. But no, I would love for Cattell to win it. As a Dbacks fan, I'm saying yes. But as a baseball fan and using my eyes and watching Bryce Terang play, like he made some insane plays. Bryce Terang is a really special player. So watch out. Like you said, this was just his second season. He is a solid he had a really good year all around.
Yeah.
But
he's one of the reasons why the Brewers went where they went.
I think Bryce Terang takes the Gold Glove.
Yeah, so yeah, I think it's going to be close. I think Cattell will definitely be a close second. I wouldn't be surprised if Cattell gets a decent amount of first place votes. But I could see Bryce Terang having enough second place along with, close enough in the first place votes to where he gets, because I think it's like a point system, like a certain amount of votes get them like points. So I think Bryce Terang is going to edge him out in points just a little bit, which again, rightfully so. Like Cattell was even right there. A healthy Cattell is one of the best Cattells we've seen. And I think unfortunately he just played the last month of the season a little bit hurt. And with that time missed and a few of those crucial errors, it hurt his opportunity a little bit. But it's all good. We still got to, we still have the hope. You never know with these voters because sometimes they don't go with the obvious. And one of those people that, was a victim of that, in my opinion, last year was Lourdes Gurriel Jr., who once again this year is a finalist for the left field Gold Glove. He is going up against Ian Happ of the Cubs and Brandon Marsh of the Phillies. Gurriel had just over 1,000 innings in left field. He had 3 outs above average, which just going off of maybe left field was not the best defensively. Maybe so many people bounced around, but
that's what I was shocked by. I was like, wait, Gurriel had 3 and he was first?
I think this is also mostly off, and I don't think that Brandon Marsh qualified as well. So I was going off of like just all outfielders in general, like getting some of these stats. Like a lot of these guys had like, I think Gurriel had 3. Like there's guys that had 2, like 4 or 5 that had 2, a lot that had 1, a lot that had 0. So I think it's just a tough metric to use out there. But Gurriel had 3 outs above average, which was first out there, 4 defensive run saves, which was tied for third. And then he had a 1 fielding run value, which is tied for second. Ian Happ had over 1,200 innings played in left field. He is negative 2 outs above average, which is interesting. And he was only tied for sixth, which maybe just going off of Gurriel at 3 and first, negative 2 being tied for sixth. Maybe Gurriel really was that much better. But Ian Happ had 8 defensive run saves, which was first for left fielders in the NL. And then he was a negative 1 fielding run value, tied for fourth. And then Brandon Marsh, like half the amount of innings as Ian Happ. I think it's one of those cases where he's in here kind of like McCarthy was for right field. We'll get to him. But Brandon Marsh, 0 outs above average, tied for fourth. 7 defensive runs saved, second. Kind of like I was saying, I think you just have to be top 3 in some of these categories to be nominated. And then he had a 2 fielding run value in left field, and he was tied for first. So between the 3, kind of like, with the same question about Cattell, about him missing time, do you think that Gurriel missed, like the time that he did miss from his injury is going to hamper the voters and like, kind of like sway them to Happ or Marsh? Or do you think there's still a chance that him being, top 3 in all these categories might, at least earn him the Gold Glove that, in my opinion, was stolen from him last year?
I think he should win it this year. I don't think the difference in how much time he missed compared to Ian Happ and the defensive run saved metric is enough for them to not give it to Gurriel. And we need to say, just give props to Adam McKay. What Adam McKay has done.
Dave McKay.
Sorry, I don't know why I was thinking Adam McKay.
No, you're good. I've done that a lot.
Dave McKay, first base coach and also outfield coach, he turned Lourdes into a Gold Glove defender. Before he got here, Lourdes was not a
He was like
defender.
average. He was average.
But McKay has made him into – he's made the Gold Glove finalists in back-to-back years.
He made that crazy play against the Phillies in the NLCS last year. Like he makes some crazy, like some of his catches, maybe he makes them look a little bit tougher than they should.
This play right here, how far he goes, right up against the D-backs bullpen, against Bryce Harper, which a lefty, that ball is slicing away from Lourdes. It's a very hard play to make, and Lourdes did really good. And one thing that I've noticed that he's been really good on, he has improved his throwing arm a lot since he got here as well.
Easily the strongest arm in the outfield for all the Dbacks.
Well, that's not a high bar because
he probably has a stronger arm than all three of them combined, which is basically what I'm saying. Like,
Corbin improved that this year. Like, if you looked at his arm strength in the first half compared to the second half, it like you could tell he was really working on it. So I'm hoping, because that's the one thing with this defense teams can do. They can go second to home on a single, and most of the time they're going to get it. Either they're not accurate or they're not strong enough. But they get great jumps on the ball. Like, there's a reason why it's called the no-fly defense. Like, any fly ball, if Alec is back there, Lourdes, Jake, Carroll.
Unless Jake's at home, because that center field wall still gives him nightmares. Because I don't know what the hell it was his problem in the last week, man. Oh, my God. The Giants and the Padres bullied him out there.
Yeah,
he was still stellar stuff, though, at least.
Yeah, Lourdes makes, like, you can tell he's like, ow, that hurt.
He doesn't land the prettiest, but he makes some pretty catches at least.
He doesn't look pretty when he makes like running catches in the gap or like sliding, diving. It doesn't look graceful, but you get the out, and that's all that matters. Like the end result is all that matters. So
it is. Yeah.
I personally feel, and I really hope Lourdes does get it, because like you said, he was robbed last year, and I think he's done enough. Because there's no way they're going to give it to Brandon Marsh. Like, I mean, I know the 684 in left field. So wait, so is that just in left field or all?
That was just when I was using Fangraphs, I did by position in each one, so it was giving me the innings that he played in left field.
Because I know he played center a lot too, just like Jake. So, be interesting to see what Brandon Marsh's combined metrics were, but I'm hoping Lourdes gets one, because I feel like that would be something that you'd have in your contract, especially since he did
like an incentive bonus.
Yeah, like either Gold Glove finalist or winning the Gold Glove, get like a couple million type of thing. But so
maybe not become, at least be like, maybe a nice $250,000 bonus, something kind of like that. Yeah. But yeah, so I kind of agree. I think that he did obviously miss some time, but I don't think it's enough. And the fact that he was, like I said, first in outs above average, like he's top 3 in all of the 3 stats mentioned. There's plenty of ones, but kind of going by it, these seem like more of the 3 like important ones. So I think that he is still, in my opinion, the favorite. But again, we're biased here. That's what we do. We try to be not biased, but we're gonna be biased. It's gonna happen.
I like to give like 2 opinions. I got my Dbacks homer hat on, and then I got like my baseball hat on. Exactly. But I feel in left field, like, it's not biased to say that Lourdes is probably more deserving. Now, I know a lot of people are very, like, they think defensive run saved is like the one stat that basically shows that guy's the best. So, yeah, if you're a Cubs fan and you want to go, well, Ian Happ has the most defensive runs saved, shouldn't he win it? I was like, it's part of it, but having -2 outs above average, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So we'll see what they do.
Yeah. So it's going to be, like it's kind of said with some of the other ones like Cattell and all that. You never know what the voters are going to do. Everybody kind of has a different opinion. We all are going to have bias no matter what, and we don't even have a vote. The actual voters are going to 100% have somewhat of a bias, even if they say they don't. But that brings us to the 5th and final Diamondback that was nominated as a finalist for a Gold Glove. This one being Jake McCarthy, Cactus Jake himself. Obviously, like I said, in right field, he's going up against Sal Frelick and Mike Yastrzemski of the Frelick of the Brewers, and then Mike Yastrzemski of the Giants. Jake put in 398 innings in right. He had 2 outs above average, which was tied for 5th, 1 defensive run saved, which was tied for 7th, and then 1 fielding run value, which was tied for 5th. Sal Frelick in 776 innings, so basically double of what Jake put in. I think, he's probably going to be the one that wins it, and that's probably why they have him in here. He has 6 outs above average, which is 2nd. He has 16 defensive runs saved, which is 1st. And then he has 8 fielding run value, which is also 1st, which that's a big jump over like Jake. Like obviously 1 to 16 and then 1 to 8. So that's going to be rough. And then the third one, Mike Yastrzemski, negative 2 outs above average, 5 defensive runs saved, which is the outs above average tied for 9th. 5 defensive runs saved, tied for 4th. And then negative 2 fielding run value, so tied for 8th. I personally don't know why he's fully in here. I think they just kind of picked somebody, which
because they needed a third person.
Which sucks because you probably you could put somebody from. I don't know if there's rules where you can't have a person from the same team, which would make sense. Because I was like, Corbin Carroll easily has better stats than him, but that'll be a different part of it. Actually, no, that'll lead into it. So, looking at the 3 numbers of all these guys, especially Jake, like I know Jake had some pretty, rough times in center field. But just comparing the numbers, did Corbin deserve the consideration at right field over Jake? And did it come down to Corbin playing just more time in center field and right field not being his primary position based off of innings? Because just, comparing outs above average, Jake had 2, Corbin had 5. Jake had 1 defensive run prevented in right field. Corbin had 4. Jake had, again, 398 innings in right field, and then 164 in exactly center field and left field, so 164 each there. Corbin had 645 innings in right with 672 innings in center field, never played an inning in left. So do you think it was just one of those, because Corbin played more time in center field, they couldn't put him in here? Or do you think it was something else? Because to me, I don't fully understand why. Again, I love Jake. I think he did good, but just off of some of these numbers, outs above average, defensive run saves, all that, I think Corbin had a better season overall.
Yeah, I think it's mainly because he had more innings in that position. I would like them to see what they do with outfield in the All-Star game. You pick 9 guys, the best 9 outfielders for the finalists. Because we're looking at left field, that was all 3 of them are eh.
Yeah.
Right field, it's kind of the same thing. There's only
Jackson
one guy.
Trio, I think, didn't have enough time. I think he was another victim of being split up between right field and left field, because I think he had really solid numbers in right, but he even on Fangraphs, I don't think he qualified technically, just because of not having enough innings in right field.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, you know what, because a lot of these guys will play the 2 corners. They'll go back. I feel like as an outfielder, you should be able to play all 3. Unless you're one of those guys like Kyle Schwarber, who's mainly in left.
And that's because you have to hide him in an outfield spot because you have 4 DHs in your lineup.
Yeah.
But that's a good problem to have for a good team. So
yeah. So
they're not complaining.
I think this is the reason why he got a Gold Glove. This play was phenomenal by our lovely cactus, Jake McCarthy. The look on Seawald's face.
Don't worry, Paul. That was our face every time you threw a pitch too. I'm sorry. I don't want to bag on Paul. We love Paul. This season.
This portion of the season. Beginning of the year, we didn't have that issue. And then he got just lit up, and it just never got better. So you kind of feel bad there. But no, I feel like Jake was decent, but I think Corbin is a better defensive outfielder. Jake makes some weird routes. He takes some weird routes out of balls. The last 2 weeks, what happened versus the Giants.
He was not good in center field.
I think we tweeted this, and we all really agreed. If Alec is out there during that Giants series, who knows what the final outcome of the season is? Because I think Alec will either make that play or he'll know, oh, I can't make that play. Let me play it off the wall. Like that's the thing with Jake. He has this football running back mentality. He's like, I'll go 110% into the wall, which he did several times in that Giants series near the end of the year.
He did it. He would go 110% into Corbin Carroll pause sometimes into the outfield when they're running after the same ball.
Phrasing. I mean, to be honest, it doesn't matter because Sal Frelick is going to win.
To 21 defensive run save distance.
You know, if
that's crazy. No, in only 700 innings too.
If Sal Frelick is
16, not 21.
Mets are not playing right now. That 3
Oh my God, yeah.
If Sal
I don't know. I think
is taller, I think he makes that play. I think he like that home run by Pete Alonso, that 3-run homer in Game 5, barely made it over the wall. And Sal Frelick, I think, misjudged where he was because he kept going back and then he just ran into the wall.
Yeah.
But no, Sal Frelick is and the thing with him is he can play the infield as well. Like he is he can be just as good on the infield as Bryce Terray.
Yeah, he plays second too, right?
Yes.
Relic? That's insane. The Brewers are gonna. I mean, that's what sucks. I mean, like I know they didn't do it this year, but dude, the Brewers are gonna be good, man. The Brewers are gonna look a little scary there if they can have Churio, Terang.
Central is really not. There's not that much competition there, so
it's theirs for the taking pretty much every year. It's kind of like how the AL West for a while there with the Angels, A's, and before the Rangers last year. Like and even the Mariners, it's usually theirs to take. So it's looking like that's going to be the Brewers. And I think for like if he can continue doing like what he did this year, obviously again in only 700 innings, I think he's going to see himself get a few more of those Gold Gloves added to his trophy case. Yep. But again, kind of like with all the other awards, you can't really, bet on what a voter is going to do. You don't know what they're gonna vote on because everybody, it's the, like Brandon says all the time, it's the what have you done for me lately? Where at least now at the end of the season, they can kind of look at the stats and look, what did you do for me all the season? But like I said, you can't really, pick what they're going to do. But what you can pick is pick'ems on Underdog. And with baseball season still going on, you can take a swing at pick'em this baseball season on Underdog itself. Over 1 million fans across 33 states got into the game last year by making picks on Underdog. I myself joined as well, and I've won a few pick'ems here and there, especially with football. It's the best time. But with baseball, especially the Guardians fighting for their life, and with the Mets tomorrow night going to be still fighting for their life, I would bet on the lower for pitcher outs recorded for both starting pitchers on the Guardians and the Mets. That's just me personally. But Underdog is super easy to play and even easier to get started. Go to the easy-to-use mobile app on UnderdogFantasy.com. Sign up with promo code DISPATCH, and Underdog will give you a mystery special pick to use on your first pick'em entry, plus a first-time deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code DISPATCH to claim your new customer special of a mystery player pick and your deposit offer. Must be 18 plus or 18 or older, 19 or older in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 or older in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona. Present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Arizona 1-800-NEXT-STEP, 1-800-639-8783, or text NEXT STEP to 53342. New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. So again, get on Underdog. Perfect time with tonight college football still going on. Tomorrow, football. Maybe you don't want to wake up and watch that game in London. That's our punishment to them for their taxes back and all that. The stuff that happened before. Yeah, you don't want to go on there. So definitely avoid that game for any higher or lowers. But the nice thing is that, like I said, there are higher lowers for a lot of things like Xavier McKinney interceptions that I still like to go for. Kyler Murray combined rush yards. Like there's a lot of things on there. So definitely check it out. And again, use our code DISPATCH to get yourself a nice offer. But yeah, so the Gold Glove Awards will, I believe, be announced in the next week. I think they announced them.
If we go based on what last year, they got announced the first week of November.
Okay, yeah. So basically, after the World Series is over,
Yep.
because the World Series ended, I think, the second or third of last year. Thanks, Dbacks. But the nice thing is there is still currently some baseball being played in Arizona, which we kind of talked about a little bit last time with the Arizona Fall League. A little bit of an update on I got 4 guides. It's a little bit hard to find some Fall League stats. You have to go to the best way I found was on Baseball Reference, and then also we're gonna get kind of like a kind of like Hans was talking about in the chat, Jordan Lawler. A little bit of update on him. I looked everywhere on the internet. I could not find a box score for any of those games. But the nice thing is
I'm
he
not sure
himself
either.
did have a home run in his debut, and he did have which I believe is this one right here. I think it was his second at bat.
Yep. Oh,
Second AB home run. So nice to see from him. Good to see him getting some more innings down there, kind of adjusting quickly. And then he did have his second home run, I believe, yesterday, which is nice to see. Yeah, right here. Another one where I don't care if he's pulling it or not, as long as he's just getting some more playing time and kind of knocking off some of that rust, because he did miss basically the end of the season. So it's nice to see him.
I think that's a big reason why he went to the DR
100%.
Winter League.
Plus he gets paid.
There's that too. But no, he. Oh my God, Jordan Lawler, Rookie of the Year, 2025. Who says no? And apparently everyone was like, our infield. I was like, y'all, like he's gonna be playing. Like if he continues to do, and
if they found a spot for Blaze Alexander, they're gonna find a spot for Jordan Lawler.
Like I really think it's going. Like I really like what Gabe said. First base. I don't think he's played first base in the Winter League yet. Like I think everyone forget he's 6'3". It's very tall.
I personally don't want him at first base, just because he's still so I think that, yes, athletically it would still help at first, but I think he's just still such a good shortstop that I would rather try him out at least third or second before putting him at first, because I still feel like there's other options.
As a backup, if we don't re-sign Walker and we keep Gino, put Gino at first and then put Lawler at third.
Yes. Fully agree. I think that's the best move.
Like that I would be okay with. Like I know like before the whole platoon DH thing last year, I was thinking Lawler at second and DH Cattell full time. You might be able to do that if they don't bring back Jock.
Yeah.
So, like Jordan Lawler has been just so good.
Yeah, so and that's one of those where I even saw somebody on Twitter being like, "Hey, maybe Jordan Lawler should have gone to because I saw he got hit by a pitch in I think last night's start or the night in between games 1 and 2. Either way, I think he's still, as long as he's getting some time down there, it doesn't matter if it's there or the AFL in my opinion. But there are some Dimebacks in the AFL that not all of them, because I think there's like 7 or 8 that we talked about last time, but there are 4 that have been kind of standing out a little bit as of late that kind of caught my eye. The first one, we all know him, we love him. He's our darling Yumin Lin, 6 innings scoreless in total so far in 2 games. He's only given up 6 hits, which were all singles. His 1 walk to 7 Ks, which the 1 walk is very, very good in my opinion, because I know even in spring and one of his things in the minors has been kind of the walks are a little bit of an issue, but he's still getting some strikeouts, which is good. Tommy Troy himself, he struggled mightily. He was 1 for, I think, 25 with 11 strikeouts when he started the AFL. But in the next 2 games after that, he went 7 for 10, just a single shy of the cycle, which that'll get your average looking good. So he's now, again, he was 1 for 25. Your average is going to look terrible. He's now up to 229, 282, 457. Still got a 739 OPS. So he's kind of, turning it around a little bit. Christian Robinson, great to hear his name. He's hitting 304, 407, 522 with a 929 OPS in 6 games. He's got a home run, 6 RBIs, 4 stolen base, 3 walks, and then still a little bit of a swing and miss problem with 10 strikeouts. But I think that's just going to be a part of his game no matter what. And then Gino Groover, another dude that potentially could, depending on the development, not next year for first base, but 2025 and beyond, or 2026 and beyond, there could be a chance that he might slot over into first. In 5 games in the AFL, he's slashing 400, 478 with a 400 slug and 878 OPS. He's got 8 hits, 2 RBIs, 2 walks, 5 Ks. So great to see from all 4 of those. With all of those guys in the AFL, and then like we talked about Lawler down in Dominican Winter Ball, which one of those guys kind of stands out to you the most? For me, again, personally, I think it's either Yumin Lin or Christian Robinson, just because Christian Robinson is a guy that we've had in our system for so long, and Lin missed a lot of time with the injury. So it's good to see him, kind of work on the things that were nagging, and then even Christian Robinson still kind of, staying relevant, in my opinion. So what are the guys that out of these 5 mentioned kind of stand out to you, Brandon?
So the thing that stands out to me is Tommy Troy and Christian Robinson are striking out way too much. Christian Robinson, 26 at-bats, 12 strikeouts. Tommy Troy, 35 at-bats, 12 strikeouts. So that is a little alarming. But, again, these guys are young. So, yeah, like they're going to have a chase problem. But the fact that Tommy Troy, his last 2 or 3 games, has been so much better. 7 hits in his last 2 games. Like, to me, is like, all right, he got some coaching. They figured something out, and he applied it, and he did really well. I just don't see Christian Robinson having a spot on this team.
As long as he's relevant enough to maybe have trade value at least.
Like, that's the one thing. I'm like, okay, they might be able to get a bullpen arm. Like, I want a probably 26-year-old relief, like someone that we can have on this roster with control for a while.
I'm about to say that's the sentence you'll never hear Leonardo DiCaprio say.
Bro. And Yumin Lin, like, has looked really good. No extra base hits given up. That's big to me. Yeah, he's given up 6 hits in 6 innings, but they're all singles. Like, that is, which to me sounds like it's probably just a lot of soft contact, which is what we want out of Yumin Lin. Like, I don't think he's going to be a big strikeout guy. I mean, so far he has 7 in 6 innings. So that's what.
But it's the AFL. Those young guys are there trying to make a name, make an impact. They're probably swinging for the fences a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's why Tommy Troy and Christian Robinson have so many strikeouts, is they're swinging for the fences. So basically, they're doing what the Dbacks did the last 2 months of the season: home run and bust.
Fun. We saw how that ended.
So, I don't think any of these guys. The only one that we've spoken about that I think is going to be on the Major League roster is George Lawler. Everyone else, I don't see a reason to. Like, there's no reason to rush up Yumin Lin, Tommy Troy, Christian Robinson. I just like.
I could see maybe being like, if he has an insane spring, they could be like, if they don't bring back Grichuk or something like that.
Correct.
And they bank on him being like, because he's getting up there in age, obviously. And like, I say that as like, he's like 23, 24, but as a prospect, he's getting up there in age.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if he does have a decent, fall league and a decent spring, that they go, hey man, like, we'll bring you up, start the season on here as our right-handed hitting DH. But that's again, I agree. That's a long shot. I think Lawler would have the best chance to being on the Major League roster come, opening day.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best opportunity that we have. And I said it on our last one. I'm keeping my eye on Gino Groover. Like, I think that's a name that we need to get to recognize. Like, I think he's going to be one of those under the radar prospects that, like, the casual Dback fans not going to know, but people like us that follow all aspects won't be surprised if when he comes up and he does well for several seasons.
Yeah, he's going to be – I think he's going to – like, all 3 of those – or I think, most of those guys other than Lawler and Robinson, I think are still have another year or 2 of development under their belt before they're, I think, fully ready to be, baptized in Major League Baseball. But – that'll definitely be, only time will tell. But the final thing we kind of wanted to, finish off the episode here, because I think it's even a little longer than we were thinking, because It's just the two of us, man. If all three of us were here, we'd be at like an hour and a half right now.
Well, we also didn't have our normal time limit that we normally do. With me and
True.
you. I think if we had all three, we would have stuck with our normal time limit that we do.
Yeah, that's true. But either way, we want to, before we get out of here, kind of like, get you guys back to enjoying your Saturday afternoons and soon to be Saturday evening, because I think the Guardians and Yankees game is on momentarily. But, speaking of it, the playoffs update, we're in the ALCSs or the LCSs. The Dodgers are up 3-2 on the Mets currently. They're heading back to LA, probably already in LA. Game 6 is tomorrow, Sunday night, 5 p.m. our time, 8 p.m. Eastern. My question to you, Brandon, about that series is, has the Mets' grimace magic finally reached its end? Or do you think that they have a little bit left in that Hawk Tua tank, kind of at the back end of it, to give them a little bit of a boost over the Dodgers and continue the trend of the team knocking out the Brewers, making it to the World Series?
So for your audio listeners, you cannot see my face with what he just said right now. Oh my gosh. If you would have asked me on Thursday, I would have said yes, that magic is over. They took game 5 on Friday. They did it in convincing fashion. They won it was like 12-6 or 13-6. They have Sean Manaea going on Sunday. He looked really good last start against the Dodgers. And since he has transitioned to the Chris Sale throwing motion,
insane.
He's been lights out. Dodgers are going with a bullpen game on Sunday.
Their bullpen's good, though. That's scary. That's not like the Dbacks bullpen games.
It worked against the Padres. It didn't work so well for them in Game 2 against the Mets and Sean Manaea.
Landon Knack was the only one they really hit, though, if we're being honest.
Yeah. If you've watched this series, Game 2 was 7-3. It's not really a blowout. Every other game in this series has been a blowout, one-sided. I'm pretty sure whoever scores first. Wait, no, I think Dodgers actually scored first in Game 5.
Yeah,
but every
Shohei
game has been a blowout. So if Sean Manaea can shut down LA.
Oh no, the Mets scored in first in Game 5. 3-0, Pete Alonso bomb.
Oh yeah, I forgot, because that was a pitch that was out of the strike zone, and he just
Game 4 was the Shohei 2 home run game, the leadoff, and then the one later in the game that he just destroyed. God, why does he have to be a Dodger, man? He's so fun to watch.
I know. I personally feel this is going 7. I think the Mets kind of have a little bit of the magic left after Game 5. I think they got some confidence on offense, because that's what they couldn't score in Games 3 and 4. Their bats got shut down, and it didn't work for us. I just don't think a bullpen game in the most important game of the season is a smart idea. I get you're up a game, so but
you don't want that pressure of blowing it and going to 7.
But I'm just if you could win that game, why not win Game 6 and not, because anything happens in a Game 7. We've seen it time and time again. I also would love to see a 3-1 Dodgers choke, personally. That would
they did it to the Braves a few years ago in the fake playoffs in 2020.
That would feed families, y'all. That would feed families if the Dodgers somehow blew a 3-1 lead. So
yeah. As long as the series, I'd rather have just, even if the Dodgers do win Game 6, just make it a close game, make it a fun one, not a blowout, because the other series has actually been a fun one. The Yankees and Guardians, it's been maybe I think in the first one, the Yankees kind of, handled them a little bit to where the Guardians didn't show up, kind of came out flat, didn't recover. But other than that, it's been a really fun series, really entertaining to watch. The Yankees are up 3-1 on the Guardians, so they are 1 win away from advancing to their first World Series since 2009. Game 5 is tonight at 5:08 p.m., 8:08 p.m. Eastern time. The last 2 games were just insane. The Game 3, the Brian Anderson is easily becoming one of my favorite broadcasters. Him, and I know Joe Davis, people were like, oh my God, he's calling Dodgers game way more biased. I don't think so. Joe Davis calls a really good game. We'll make our jokes. He's a Dodgers announcer, but he's really good just in general. Brian Anderson is just a step behind him, because if you guys haven't had a chance
I personally
to go and listen to it,
Brian Anderson and Joe Davis. personally.
I think that too. It's just going off of like who's more like popular. Like I didn't know Brian Anderson's name fully until the
Also,
because he's been a good
TBS,
announcer. I just never looked it up.
the call on the Alec Thomas home run from last year was
That was him, right?
Yes, that was Brian Anderson.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. I'm starting to like him a little bit more. But that big Christmas call was insane.
Oh my god. Have you seen the clip of him? Like it's like
he's like in the booth. Dude, give me baseball or broadcasters that are fans of baseball, not Bob Costas, where he's sitting there, he's disgusted because Giancarlo Stanton didn't run. It's like, no, look at Bobby Witt Jr. making the great play, dumbass.
Yeah, I hope TBS gets another broadcaster because I cannot stand and Yankee fans finally know what we had to deal with. Like Bob Costas, I don't know what happened. He used to be one of the best. Like he truly did used to be one of the best sports he's the voice of the Olympics. But I don't know if it's just he just doesn't care.
He's just I don't know. I think it's one of those where looking back on it, Joe Buck did not deserve the hate that he got. Maybe it's because it's a recency. Maybe Bob Costas has been bad the last few years. Also, welcome in, Josh. So at least you made it like Oscar said earlier. Gabe left us behind. That's the kind of guy he is. Nah, he's going. He had to get away from seeing Shohei Ohtani on his screen everywhere he went. At the airport, the 3 batters away, 24 hours away. He couldn't escape.
Yeah, they don't do that with any other batter, by the way.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie. So kind of like why they signed him in the first place. One of my coworkers, his wife was in Japan, and she was walking around. They have posters when the game was going on, they had basically on any TV, kind of like how the stereotypical news things where TV's in the window. All those TVs would have everything was the Dodgers games would always be on. I think there was a number of one of the games in America had 700 or 7 million people watching, where in Japan there's 12 million alone. Where he brings in watchers. It makes sense. I get why they do the graphic, but I'm gonna make fun of it still because they don't do it for anybody else. But again, nobody else is doing what Shohei Ohtani is doing, genuinely. And the crazy, again, that's what sucks about him being a Dodger is he's doing all this just being a DH. Imagine next year they're in the playoffs and they have Yamamoto and then they have Ohtani, and then if Glasnow can actually make it more than 160 innings and into the playoffs, they have him. They're probably gonna add Juan Soto because they're just printing money over there.
If they choke against the Mets, they will absolutely go after Juan Soto because that's what they think the issue is. It's their offense. It's not. There's an issue with your training staff or the way you guys develop their players in the minor leagues, which everybody throw fast, yet all their arms fall off because of it. So,
yeah, so we definitely tangented a little bit back into maybe it's just because we're still salty little brothers, I guess. But yeah, with the obviously the Yankees and Guardians game tonight in this series being the more fun one, do you think that with Class A struggles that I don't think anybody saw coming, no baseball fan, I know even the one Kerry Carpenter home run, I think we all thought okay, he was due for one, but he got it out of his way. No, he's going on a generational Paul Sewald run right now, and it's kind of insane. Because with his struggles, the question, we were kind of talking about it. So you already know the question, Brandon, but do you think the Guardians offense can actually keep up enough with the Yankees sluggers to force a game 6? Or do you think it's basically Jover in the city of rock and roll?
The Guardians just need to get a lead. That's the problem is they keep falling behind, and that offense really is not made to come from behind. They're if they can get a 1-run lead, Stephen Vogt has one of probably the best bullpen remaining in baseball right now.
Don't tell Dan Plesac that.
Oh,
which I don't know. Maybe I like how we all called him crazy because he's like, oh, Luke Weaver's the best reliever in the postseason. Everyone's like, well, Emmanuel Class A still exists. Maybe we shunned him and made fun of him wrongfully.
Luke Weaver also gave up that home run to
Big Christmas. One home run to Big Christmas and then the 3 from Class A.
The Spanish call on that, Feliz Navidad. Oh, I fucking loved it,
dude. It's playoff baseball. Some of the calls you don't get insane calls like that. Yes, you get the bang from Mike Breen in basketball. Yes, bangs. Those moments are. I'm not saying that those aren't elite, I don't know, just something about like a call like that from Brian Anderson, and then you hear the crowd, which it's a shame that TBS, well, because I've heard online they've said like they kind of mute the crowd sound a little bit, like even in Yankee Stadium, like when I think it was in Game 2 when Judge hit that bomb.
Yeah.
I thought I saw a lot of Yankees fans were like, I was at the stadium and like my hearing was like it was like loud, like what Alec Thomas's home run did to Chase Field last year. It got insanely loud, but even if you go back and look at the replay, it sounds quiet. It sounds like it's muffled, and I hate that.
Want us to hear the broadcasters more than anything. Which
give me both. Give me that's what playoff baseball is about, though. Give me the fan reactions, the crazy energy. Like, but when they're in Cleveland, when Yoensky hit that home run, you could kind of hear it. They didn't muffle it then.
Also, you can hear it in the NLCS though. Like,
I think it's just TBS that does it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think it's just them muting it.
I think they take it down just a notch.
Because you can hear Joe Davis screaming along whenever Ohtani or Alonso, anybody else hits a home run, and it's like the Will Ferrell thing. It's like it gets the people going. Like that's literally what it does.
Yeah. So I think for Cleveland, score first. I think that's going to be huge for them. If they can score first, then I think they can take Game 6 and force it back to the Bronx. But Yankees have Carlos Rodon going, who pitched really well in Game 1.
Yeah, I don't think the Guardians hit lefties too well either.
No.
I think they hit righties a little better. I could be mistaken.
So.
I don't know how the splits. I could be going recency bias, but it's going to be interesting nonetheless. Unfortunately, it hurts a little bit less than it did at the beginning of October that we're not watching the Dbacks play. But either way, still at least been some fun playoff baseball, and it's coming up to an end soon, which is a good thing because that means we get officially into the off season. We get free agents. We get more trade talks. Like, you get all that fun stuff, and definitely a lot more Dback centralized news will start to come out. So thank you again for everybody joining us here in the live. Hans, Bubba, Oscar, Josh, hopping at the end. Brandon, before we get out of here, any final thoughts?
I know Major League Baseball wants it, and the average fan does, but I really don't want a Dodgers-Yankees World Series because I will not watch. My two most hated franchises in all of sports. Not going to happen.
Man, if the Dodgers win that World Series, Cruz is going to go on a generational hater run in our Discord.
Oh, bro.
That's going to be rough. You're going to show up to work every day and be like, sitting in your car being like, no! And then get out, lock the thing. Cruz just sitting there like, what's up, man?
Bad. Like, he's going to be, like, he's intense with his trolling now. Can you imagine when the Dodgers have a legitimate World Series? Like, there's nothing I can say. Because they'll have a more recent one than the Diamondbacks.
It's okay. The nice thing that I've learned, especially with the getting older, I'm not as emotionally. It sucks. A lot of those troll fans are the only ones, really only trolls online. A lot of fans in person are going to be like, hell yeah, they finally won.
Woo. It's also really easy to trigger Dodger fans on the internet, though.
Dude, it's easy to trigger every fan base. You can trigger a Diamondback. You can trigger me with like any quick thing. It's so easy. But either way, again, we appreciate everybody for stopping by for the Gold Glove discussion and a little bit of, fall league talk and postseason talk. Again, join our Discord. I know it's a little bit dead in the offseason right now, but we still got like football talk, hockey talk, other things like that. So if
basketball
as well, like there's plenty of other sports to talk about in there. So make sure you join the Discord. It's in the links. Like I said at the beginning of the show, like, comment, and subscribe on the YouTube videos. It really helps out in the algorithm. And then again, check out any articles over on AZ Snake Pit. I know there's been a lot of this is the time of the season where you get a little more analytical, and like stat like dives and things like that. So if that's kind of more your cup of tea, again, check it out. There's never going to be any bad articles on Snake Pit. There's just nothing but bangers. So make sure you go over there. And again, be here. I believe we're going to be next Saturday or next Thursday. No official date, but we're going to continue the weekly stream. So we will see you guys next time for some more fun Dbacks Dispatch.
Dbacks, dispatch. Let's go. Yeah, bring Red Game, Josh on the floor. West Coast vibes, catch us on the air. Home running dogs, diamond gems we share. Brandon was a stat, Caesar man was a plan. Red race it down, tells it like it is, man. Gabs on fire, brings the heat every time. Josh on the mix, keep the beat so prime. Ain't got the insight, 7 weeks ahead. Tune in, Dbacks, dispatch, this is it. Now we roll. Dbacks, dispatch, yeah. Trumpet Brandon, Brandon Gay, this is Big Catch. Josh on the mix, he makes the beats. West Coast vibe, got the G fucking the band. The home Mac, the home Mac, the home Mac, home Mac. Dbacks, dispatch, we here to stay. Yeah, catch us every week, we bring the flavor out to it. We got the home Mac, the home Mac, the home Mac, home Mac. Dbacks, dispatch, we here to stay. Catch us every week, we bring the flavor out to it.